I am appealing to you to remember the nation's creative minds who, without them, the artists, the musicians, the filmmakers, etc., who eased our journey throughout the COVID crisis with their online contributions. I'm asking you to remember them.
On another sector of our society who are being unfairly discriminated against with this measure, and that's our arts community, and it's very welcome that all other deputies have spoken so far, have raised the issue of our arts community. Minister, I recognise that you're former Minister for Arts and Culture and brought through some very worthy measures in that regard. Can you not accept that our arts community are crying out for assistance at this time? We're going to need our arts community more than ever as our economy reopens up. We're going to need them to help us gather once again in friends and be comfortable in that situation. We're going to need them to help us laugh. We're going to need them to help us cry. We're going to need to help us understand the trauma of what was the last couple of months during this pandemic.
Many of them have been ably represented by the likes of the Musical and Entertainment Association of Ireland, or EPIC, and others, other groups, or by themselves.
Every entertainer, from the small little Brian with the fiddle playing some flagpoles, from the small little groupie, and all the flanner, and all the people that are give solace and entertainment to people up and down the country, Gach Shockton, Gach Law, and this is all stopped. They didn't stop it. It was pulled from under their legs by this government when they announced all what had to happen. And we all supported it at the time. But it's time now that we looked at it and we examined it and allowed these people to live.
And the other thing that's really going on in this bill is an attempt to whip people who lost their jobs through no fault of their own as a result of public health advice into low-paid employment in other jobs. That's what you're doing. That's what you're giving yourself the legal right to do, is to put pressure on people who work in the arts, in live entertainment and music to go, I don't know, and go and work at McDonald's.
I too want to specifically speak about people from the MEAI. I have been inundated with calls from people in the music and entertainment sector regarding this stimulus package. They are telling me of their struggles and their hardships struggling to pay their weekly shopping utility bills in arrears, the threat of losing their cars and in some cases their homes. The package proposed by the Minister for Arts fails to understand how this sector works. The Arts Council does not represent the workers in this sector. Plowing money into the Arts Council will not trickle down to these working musicians or the entertainers.
In August, as one person said in a letter to me, I am not unemployed. I am forced not to be employed as a direct result of government guidelines.
That's unacceptable. We ask so much of our arts community and have offered them very little in return. We went from having one of the lowest arts sector funding in the EU to now bringing in a measure that afforded them some sense of dignity during the pandemic, and now we're going to strip them away at the same time, asking them to keep creating on the world-renowned level that they've done to this point. Minister, that needs to change. We need to respect our artistic community.
Like the others, Minister, I want to make a case for entertainers, musicians from all around the country.
Speaking to this bill, the point I'm trying to make, I'm afraid there's not enough being done for this sector. The Minister for Arts is like a farmer with 200 cows who have nothing to eat. The farmer gets money that could feed every cow, but instead feeds 10 cows and spends the rest of the money putting a cinema screen inside in the shed so the other 190 cows can watch the videos of the cows eating the grass.
Minister, also I support what Deputy Curran said, to allow the self-employed to make a declaration of their income for 2019 so that they can be properly assessed on their most recent income for PUP into the future.
Because they're self-employed, they're not looking for anything, they pay their taxes, they pay their insurance, and above all they give entertainment, they give value for money, and they reach into the people's homes and the local radio stations and everything else and their records, and people like them and love them as part of our culture, our ducas, our heritage, and they must be supported in that.
And two major victims of this are three artists, taxi drivers and people who work in the bar industry. All of them are being picked on, having their incomes cut, even though they can't return to work because of your public health advice. Actually, this is incentivising them to bang down the door of their employment and say, open up the bars, open up the bars. Because that's the only way they can recover their income. when of course the public health advice is to keep the bars closed at the moment. That's the truth. So, you know, crocodile tears about the plight of the arts workers, the musicians and all the rest of it, and then do absolutely nothing about it, in fact do worse than nothing about it, slash their income.
The extra 54 million the Minister's Department has provided or promised to provide so far could cover the cost of the Music and Entertainment Survival Subsidy Scheme, ensuring that each of the estimated 30,000 workers, I actually think it's more like 35,000, in this industry could have their reduced rate of PUP topped up to €350 per week. This sector needs a survival package to ensure it can survive until it is deemed safe to reopen up after social distancing measures are gone.
When are you going to give them support? Are you going to let them beg? Are you going to drive them and tell them go look for work elsewhere? They'll get jobs elsewhere. How will they? Are we going to diminish and destroy our artistic industry, our arts industry, our musicians, our bands, our dancing schools, our art schools, everything else?
They're not allowed to work now. And I'm appealing to Minister that this embargo on those people who played in local pubs and clubs, that they be allowed to work as soon as possible.
Thank you,
also, they should get some kind of financial assistance to keep them going in the meantime. Thank you very much.
They have to be helped. They are part of our culture, our heritage. They're part of our very being.
In relation to people looking for work, and I know there are some sectors that haven't opened up yet, and hopefully the remainder of those will be allowed to open on the 10th of August. But the department, in terms of making sure people are looking for work, they will take a common sense approach. So if you're in a sector that is waiting to reopen soon, then that's okay. That's fully understandable that you're waiting for your job to come back. So if they file their 29 returns to the Revenue Commissioners, we will certainly accept those figures, because in some cases I can fully understand that there may be a better figure, they're entitled to a higher payment, so we will accept those.